So, welcome back to chapter 11, video 3, and we should be able to finish this up now. Okay, so in the last one we were talking about different methods of farming. Pros and cons of them are something you should be aware of as you read through all this stuff. Everything you read, you should think of pros and cons. Of course, one of the biggest consequences of our current farming method is desertification, which is bad. So a lot of areas are moving to a more sustainable agricultural method. The idea with sustainable is to produce enough food for the entire world, but without destroying our land, polluting our environment, or reducing biodiversity. And there's actually lots of ways we can do this that are still going to allow us to produce plenty of food. There's you guys, and I've chatted about this with you. There's lots of ways you can do this. Grow your own, some veggies in your backyard, kind of thing. Do some minimal stuff. Buy local, buy seasonal, this kind of thing. But for a farmer, for them, there's several things they can do. Intercropping is when you take two or more species and you basically plant them in the same field at the same time. So one row of tomatoes followed by a row of cantaloupe followed by a row of cucumbers, and then some more tomatoes and then some more cucumbers. And you basically make like a little striped field, if you will, with a few rows of each amongst each other. So you kind of rotate. Couple rows tomatoes, couple rows cucumbers, couple rows whatever. What this does is not all species, not all plants have the same nutritional needs. So one might need a lot of nitrogen while the other one needs a lot of phosphorus. So you're using those different parts of your field, and then you would rotate them. So where I grew the nitrogen-loving tomatoes last year, I will grow this year the phosphorus-loving cucumbers or whatever. I don't know if that's what they actually like, but theoretically, you get the point. So then I can grow that because my nitrogen is probably gone in that area, but my phosphorus is probably high. And as they're doing that, and there's more decomposition going with my compost, the nitrogen will build up in that row over this year because they're not really using it. And next year I can grow tomatoes there again. So by doing that, by rotating my crops and intercropping, I actually do a lot of things. Also, growing legumes, your beans and stuff like that, peas and all. They have nodules on their roots that create the nitrogen, that help with the nitrogen cycle. They're bacterial nodules. So if you grow a legume in your field next to a nitrogen-needing plant, the legume will actually provide those plants with the extra nitrogen and stuff. So intercropping that way can help you as well. And so you don't have to apply synthetic fertilizers, or maybe not even fertilizers at all. That kind of thing, depending on how you run the rest of your agricultural plan. Crop rotation is one season I grow watermelons, the next season I grow cantaloupe, the next season I grow tomatoes, the next season I grow whatever. I don't grow the same crop every single time I plant my field. I rotate what I'm doing season to season. That is very much an organic farmer's thing, is you grow the seasonal vegetables. You don't grow corn year round. You grow your seasonal vegetables. You grow your watermelon in the spring, and you grow your squash in the fall, kind of thing, or your sweet potatoes or something like that. Agroforestry is growing trees with your vegetables. So you'll have a row of tree, a few rows of vegetables, a row of trees, a few rows of vegetables, and so on. That helps in a lot of ways. It can help with, the soil condition and keeping soil in place, and it can help with erosion, stuff like that. So that's a other thing. Contour plowing. A lot of our farms, the rows are straight, no matter what. You just do straight rows. Well, the land's not straight. And so the idea of contour plowing is to make those lines of your field follow the contour of your land. This will actually prevent erosion because in a straight line, water and wind can really whip along and help pick up a lot of that dirt and soil. But if they kind of meander and they're kind of curved and stuff like that, it actually slows like water down, and the wind can't really pick it up as well, and so it'll decrease your erosion, which is a good thing. So a lot of farmers are actually following a combination of these factors in their agriculture to make the best of their crops. So here's a picture. Here's intercropping. You have one crop here and a different crop there. So again, row after row, just rotating them. And there's certain crops that we know grow well together. Growing some things together can actually increase your production of one or both of them. So it's interesting. Contour plowing, again, not straight lines, following the contour of the land, much better for decreasing erosion and that kind of thing. And this is agroforestry. You can see the trees in there amongst your plants. Helps with erosion, helps with soil retention, that kind of thing. Okay. No-till agriculture. This is a rather new thing. Tilling is when you drag this big machine, big thing behind your tractor, and it basically takes about the top 1.5 feet of soil or so and flips it over. Literally cuts down and flips it all the way over. So what's on the top goes to the bottom, and what's about 1.5 feet out down in your soil comes up. Which, if you think about it, since nutrients leach deeper and deeper, you're putting the nutrients back to the top, which seems like a good idea. But you're also putting loose soil. That soil is just loose soil. There's no roots in it. There's no nothing to kind of protect it from erosion. So it really increases, tilling really increases your erosion, especially if you do it and then it decides to rain or it's windy or something. A lot of farmers are going to no-till. They literally leave last year's crop in place, which is all this stuff you see here. That's last year's corn crop. They're just leaving it right in place. And they just went right over the top of it and planted this year's new corn. At least that looks like corn to me. This is no-till. So two things happen. First off, it decreases erosion because you're not flipping that soil over. And the second thing, all of this material from last year's harvest will eventually decompose, and it's a source of nutrients. It's a source of your nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and all that stuff. So that's good. So it's basically you're allowing those normal biogeochemical cycles to occur, the nitrogen cycle, the carbon cycle, and that kind of stuff to go ahead and occur there. It also decreases evaporation from your soil, so having any kind of mulch or dead plant material on the top of your soil actually decreases moisture loss, water loss from your soil, which is good, especially if you're having to irrigate or something like that. So good idea all around. A lot of farmers still aren't sold on it, but it really is a good thing, and it's becoming more and more popular. Okay, integrated pest management. You guys are going to actually do an activity in class with regards to integrated pest management. Integrated pest management uses a variety of techniques to minimize pesticide use. The goal of integrated pest management is to try to manage my crop in a way that allows me to use only a little pesticide if I need to. So it is literally planning how you're going to grow your crop from start to finish. When am I planting? How am I planting? How am I managing? When am I harvesting? All of that is incorporated. What am I planting? Everything. The idea, again, is to maximize your production. You want a lot of food off your land, but also reduce the amount of pesticides you're using, because pesticides are really bad for everybody. So things like crop rotation might be things, intercropping, planting pest-resistant crop varieties, creating habitats for predators and pests, or predators that would eat your pest. Anything you can do to limit the use of pesticides. So like if there's a bug that eats your crop, but the bug's only here, like our love bugs are only here in May and October, and you could plant your crop earlier and harvest it before May, before they even show up, then do that. Or maybe you plant later so that the fruit hasn't come out in May. It'll come out in June, and you go later. You plant some trees so that there's more birds in the area, and the birds eat the insects that are eating your crop, whatever it is. There's lots and lots and lots of things we can do to actually decrease the amount of pesticide use we do. Okay, and you'll see that with the activity you're going to do. What's kind of interesting is it's very hard to convince sometimes farmers that the industrial way is not the best way, that they can actually make more money doing more environmentally friendly, new, sustainable agriculture. Very, very difficult, unfortunately, to convince them sometimes. So I love this graph. Before integrated pest management, this is how much basically farmers were applying pesticides. Lots of application of pesticides. After they were trained and implemented integrated pest management, basically halved our pesticide use. And then yield. How much were they harvesting? Harvesting actually went up. So they are not spending as much money on pesticide, so that's saving them money. And they're making more of a profit here because their production's up. So they're saving money here and making more money here. They're a lot better off using an integrated pest management system. But again, it's that newfangled stuff, and sometimes it's hard to convince agricultural or for old traditional farmers that this is a good idea. Remember, you guys live in an ag county. There's lots of jobs in agriculture. You could become an integrated pest management consultant and go around and help farmers implement this kind of stuff. And that would be a great job. Lots of jobs. Okay. Organic agriculture. The idea behind organic agriculture is that you don't use any synthetic pesticides or fertilizers. It's not that you don't use them, you don't use synthetic. So your fertilizers is your compost, your chicken manure, your cow manure, your old decomposed veggies, that kind of thing. And your pesticides, you're not using chemical pesticides, but you could use ladybugs to eat your aphids, or you could use chrysanthemum oil to keep pests away. So you're using natural things to keep the pests off your plants, not synthetic stuff. Okay? So that's basically it, that you're growing the good old-fashioned way kind of thing. Lots of people are growing organic in their backyard. Again, making sure that you aren't planting a GMO if this is what you want to do, although not all GMOs are bad. If you like the GMO, plant it. But you're just not going to go spray the whole thing with Roundup or any kind of chemical pesticides or fertilizers. Okay. CAFOs, concentrated animal feeding operations. These are large areas with lots and lots and lots of cattle. Remember what we said? When you concentrate any organism in a small area in high density, you're going to increase disease. This is not a nice thing. And we're feeding these guys grain. We're feeding them corn. And guess what? Cows aren't made to eat corn. So you get a lot of disease. It's not a very nice thing. They're standing in their manure. We have a big manure issue with these CAFOs. It's concentrated feedlot. They're not a nice thing. Pros, yes, you can have a lot of meat coming out of there. Might not be the meat you want to eat, though. A lot of our cows are in CAFOs. If not their entire life, but part of their life. So, be aware of them. Okay, fishing. I wish we had time to watch my fishing movie, but we really don't. And we should probably talk more about fishing than we do. We're overfishing anything. Make sure you read about fishing. Bycatch is any unintentional catch. If you catch a whale in your nets, that's bycatch. I might show you a little bit of one of our fishing movies because I think fishing's important and things. But we're basically overfishing the ocean. Actually, you know what? I'm going to cut this off and do a slight little video on fishing. And then we'll be done. Hang on. Okay. See you back in a minute.